This whole journey to learn how to garden and to grow a garden in the city has been a connection to my roots. Both of my grandparents were farmers, family farmers. We sort of missed a generation with my parents. My father was a businessman and my mother had 4 children and made all of our clothes, made our furniture, and was so busy. So I wasn't taught how to garden. I started later in life. That's why I called my show Late Bloomer. This whole week has been about reconnecting to my roots because I've had my 7th anniversary of Late Bloomer and of my garden, and I've had a lot of time for reflection. It's 6 a.m. and it's already light and it's spring. Spring is a time of renewal. What better way to connect to your roots than to grow a garden, even if it's a window box, even if it's herbs in your kitchen window. Whatever space you have, connect to your roots. My grandmother, both grandmothers, grew apples. I've never grown an apple tree in all these 7 years, and this year I have an apple tree and I have apples. Once again, I'm connecting to my roots. Today I'm growing things in my garden in Southern California that my grandmothers in Tennessee and Alabama could not have imagined. Guavas, figs, olives, oranges and lemons, passion fruit, loofah. The list goes on. This is the best time in the city before things get crazy busy and airplanes are going back and forth. It's quiet. You can think about the birds singing. And I hear a hoot owl. I am bursting with connection. If there's one thing I know that I have learned through this whole YouTube gardening experience is connection. I am connecting to people all over the world, and this has been the most rewarding, fulfilling thing I have ever done in my life, outside of raising children. I am just so happy to be in the garden, and I moved my cozy corner chair and table in front of these beautiful geraniums. These geraniums have been in these pots for 25 years. I believe only 2 of these plants have been replaced out of, well, I had 6, and this pot broke years ago, and I've never been able to find the exact fit for this wire. Just looking out and seeing these geraniums blooming year-round, it's so fulfilling. Actually, my mother was a big gardener, but later in life. She always had bushes and flowers around the house. Nothing extravagant, just a few things. But after my father died, she went wild. First of all, as a tribute to my father, who was in the automobile business and always had a garage, she raised the money from family and friends to build a garage for the church buses at church. The following year, she did the whole parking lot around it and did a garden and a meditation garden around it. She had a list like this, single-spaced, of everything she kept in her car. And she had all of her tools and everything that she would need, and she would just drive right up to the parking lot, and the meditation garden was there, and then all the pretty pots and bushes, and there wasn't irrigation out there. She hauled all the water. I mean, definitely I got my drive and determination from her, and creativity from her. We may not have had vegetables growing up, but we had vegetables because my grandparents were either, one was 22 miles away and the other was 80 miles away. Both of them had those huge freezers packed with frozen food from their gardens, and we would go every Sunday and have a big meal, and then we would bring home food. The best food I had growing up came from my grandparents' gardens, and the best experiences that I remember from my youth were having those meals at my grandparents', sitting in the front yard and splitting open watermelons and passing the salt, eating all of the fried corn and okra, and just to think of it makes my mouth water. These are just some thoughts that are on my mind. I had occasion yesterday to have an interview about my experience with my show and with my gardening, learning to garden, and it just brought back all of these memories and thoughts about why I got into this in the first place. You just take whatever space you have and you just make it the most that it can be, whether it's a window box or if that's all you have. I mean, I lived in New York for 7 years, and there was no balcony and there was no window box, and we were on the 9th floor, so it's not like you're going to be growing plants out the windows. This whole wild, biodiverse garden is a revelation to me. Thank you so much for just having coffee with me this morning, or tea, and letting me share my thoughts, and I hope I've inspired you in some way. Strawberries in pots, that's another thing that it's very easy to grow. Strawberries in pots. Because volunteers keep things interesting in a garden. Right now, I have borage popping up everywhere. I have all of my nasturtium are volunteers. My 4 o'clocks reseeded. My sweet Annie reseeded. Of course, my milkweed reseeded. I had a squash plant come up over here that I wasn't expecting, so that's exciting. The beautiful flowers, the seeds I got in England in 2017, they came back. They're perennial, and that was a total surprise. So I have 2 big bunches of those. That's what keeps things interesting. And of course, the birds and the butterflies and the bees. One thing I'm missing is my lizard. Last year I had 2 lizards. I had an alligator lizard, if you remember, that has the diamond-shaped head, and I had a regular lizard with the more sleek, snake-like head. Now would be a great time to return to the late bloomer garden if you're a lizard, because there's so much growth you could hide a million places. I have more plants than I have sun. There's a very huge tree across the street. In May and June, the sun comes right up behind that tree, and if she would take that tree down 10 feet, I would have an hour more of sun, morning sun, on my garden. It is 6:41. I decided last night to upload my newest video at 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time instead of 5 a.m. I love that because I have hundreds of views before I ever even wake up. My roses are blooming. I would really get excited about that if I have had any success in a while, but I haven't. I just refuse to use chemicals, and they just get eaten up by something. It's an heirloom rose, and I scavenged it when they were tearing down my neighbor's property. Eric cleaned that all off and chopped it down about 6 weeks ago, and it's completely leafed out, and I can see 20 roses from here. There was one time my mother decided to grow tomatoes, and I remember this so well. She had a little area out back, probably, I would say it was probably 10 by 10, and she had several tomato plants that she grew in there, and they got big. I remember them being, 6 feet tall and bushy. Our property dropped off, so you could look out the ground floor bathroom window and look down upon the patio and then this area where the tomato plants were. She looked out the window, and it was before church, so it must have been Sunday morning, and she saw a copperhead snake. It was either heading to the tomatoes or heading out of the tomatoes. And she went out there. Now I can't remember who killed the snake. I'm a little foggy on that. But she took a hoe and she chopped all those tomato plants down. And that was the end of having a vegetable garden right beside the house. She was not going to be attracting a copperhead snake around, when she had 4 little kids. I totally misspoke. This was the first year that I lived in this house, and I took this photo, and those were not geraniums. I'm not sure what they were, but they're not geraniums. I just saw 2 hummingbirds flying together, and there are 2 little birds in my tree, in my birch tree. I find birds and butterflies very hard to photograph because by the time you turn the camera, they're gone. I love giving shout outs to my viewers, subscribers. This shout out goes to one of my newer subscribers, Ed. And Ed is watching all of my videos and leaving the most thoughtful comments, and I just want to give you a special shout out, Ed, and I look forward to giving other subscribers who are watching all my videos shout outs. So please leave me a comment and say, hey, I'm watching all your videos, give me a shout out, and I will. Look who's here. This is Lyndon. She was born in 2005 in May, I believe. So she is now 14. And isn't she a pretty girl for 14? Now I keep her inside. Even inside she gets fleas. It's just infuriating. Can you look up there? Show them your pretty blue eyes. Can you imagine a cat having blue eyes? But she does. It's hard to see because she has a black face. But her eyes are blue. Yes, you're a pretty girl. Mwah. Okay. Say bye. Say bye-bye. Someone asked me if I could get a drone shot of my garden so they could actually see the property. I actually drew it on a piece of paper, but I don't have a drone camera. In fact, I'm gonna go get that. Hold on. I was going to color this, and I haven't gotten around to it. But this is my property. This is the house. This is the driveway where I have my container garden on the side. This is my trellis in the back, in between the art studio and the garage, which is pre-existing. This is the street, Parkway number 1, Parkway number 2. The driveway comes in at a curve. So I have my olive tree and pineapple guavas. My passion fruit is growing up over here. And my new loquat tree actually hasn't been added to this. This is rain barrel setup number 1. This is rain barrel setup number 2 and rain barrel setup number 3. These were the 2 little planters that I had in the back that I have grown various things in. Last year I grew corn in it. My bamboo is here, my bamboo is here. So yeah, so see the sun, in the winter it comes way over here at an angle. In the summer it comes closer to this way, almost goes straight over, but not quite. So that is my garden and my house. Please pledge to me today that you will grow something, even if it's a window box or herbs in your kitchen. You don't even have to have a sunny window. You can buy a grow light, and some grow lights are very inexpensive. You can grow microgreens and have a healthier diet. Just get started. Spring is the time for renewal. Thank you so much for watching my channel all of this time. And if you're new to my channel, please go back and watch my 100 original episodes of Late Bloomer. The original concept had music and titles and bloopers and animations. I had it all. I wanted to attract the entire family, and I'm still trying to do that. So thank you so much for your support. Please look at the various ways that you can support this channel in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please watch these. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see you in the next video.